My child, you were not led here by accident. Something has just shifted, and you need to hear this before the moment passes you by. If this message found you, then I need you to stop, lean in, and stay with me all the way to the end, because what I am about to reveal is not casual, and it is not for everyone. You just unlocked something big, and if you rush past this, distract yourself, or treat this like another ordinary video, you could miss the very instruction that was meant to change your next season. So stay here. Listen closely. Let every word reach the places you usually keep guarded. I am going to show you what opened, why it matters, and what you must do now before this window closes. Do not leave early. Your next step is hidden in this message, and your obedience will decide what happens next. My child, I need you to understand something before you let your mind run ahead of your heart. You did not stop here by accident. You did not simply come across this moment because you had time to spare, or because you were curious, or because your finger happened to pause at the right second. I brought you here. I know how easy it is for you to think everything in your day is just another small event, another scroll, another message, another voice among many. But you need to hear me closely now, because what feels ordinary to you is carrying more weight than you realize. I have been drawing you toward this exact moment in ways you did not notice. I have been letting certain things fall quiet around you so your spirit could finally hear what your mind has been too crowded to recognize. You have been sensing for a while that something around your life is shifting. Maybe you could not explain it. Maybe you tried to ignore it. Maybe you told yourself you were just emotional, just tired, just overthinking. But deep down, you have felt it. You have felt that something is different. You have felt that something is close. You have felt that there is movement in places where you had grown used to silence. That feeling did not come from nowhere. I have been stirring your spirit because I did not want you to miss this. There are moments in your life that arrive quietly, without announcement, without dramatic signs, without the kind of visible proof you keep telling yourself you need before you can trust me. And still, those moments carry enough power to redirect your whole path if you receive them the right way. This is one of those moments. That is why I need you to stop trying to explain it away. That is why I need you to stop reducing this to coincidence. I know how your heart works. I know how quickly you protect yourself when something feels important. I know how often you have been disappointed before. I know how many times you hoped something meant more than it did, and I know how painful it felt when what you expected never came. But I am not asking you to force emotion. I am asking you to become aware. I am asking you to let yourself notice that I am here, that I am speaking, and that what is happening right now is not empty. You have just unlocked something bigger than you can see, and the first danger is not the enemy attacking it. The first danger is you dismissing it because it arrived too simply. You have been trained by pain to expect big things to come with struggle, noise, pressure, and confusion. But I do not always work that way. Sometimes I move in stillness because I want your spirit to learn how to recognize me without needing a storm. Sometimes I let a holy shift arrive without spectacle because I want your trust to grow deeper than your dependence on visible signs. That is where you are right now. You are standing in a moment that was prepared for you long before you understood why your heart has felt restless. I have watched you carry questions you never fully said out loud. I have watched you feel like something in your life was almost ready to break open, but you could not tell if it was hope or fear. I have watched you second-guess what I was doing because the timing did not make sense to you. And yet I kept guiding you. I kept arranging your steps. I kept holding back what would have distracted you. I kept letting certain things disappoint you because if they had satisfied you too early, you would not have been open enough to receive what I wanted to give you now. You need to know that even your delays have been part of this. Even the moments that felt frustrating, even the silence that made you question whether I was still close, even the times you felt overlooked while other people seemed to move ahead of you. None of that was wasted. I was not absent. I was positioning you. I was teaching you how to hear me in deeper ways. I was exposing the parts of you that still looked for security in the wrong places. I was softening the places in you that had become too guarded to receive. And now here you are, in a moment your spirit was always meant to meet. That is why I want you to stop rushing. Stop trying to figure out the whole meaning before you have even allowed your heart to settle into my presence. Just let this truth land inside you first. I brought you here on purpose, and what has opened around your life is real, even if you do not yet understand the full shape of it. And because I know you so well, I also know that part of you is already trying to ask the next question. You want to know what exactly has been unlocked. You want to know what this means. You want to know if it is about your future, your peace, your healing, your direction, your relationships, your purpose, or that quiet prayer you have almost stopped mentioning because it hurt too much to keep hoping for it. You want clarity, and I understand that. But before I tell you what to do next, I need you to recognize why this first step matters so much. If you misread the moment, you will mishandle what follows. If you call this ordinary, you will treat it casually. If you treat it casually, you will step past the very doorway you have spent so long asking me to open. You have done that before without meaning to. You have had moments where I was speaking, and because the delivery did not match your expectations, you let the moment pass. You thought I would come another way. You thought I would make it more obvious. You thought if it was truly from me, you would feel different, sound different, look different. But my child, you must stop deciding in advance what my voice is allowed to sound like. You must stop assuming that if I do something important, it must arrive wrapped in the kind of drama your flesh has learned to respond to. I want you to become the kind of person who can sense me in the quiet, who can feel the shift before the visible proof appears, who can honor a sacred moment even when nothing around you seems dramatic enough to justify it. That is maturity. That is spiritual sensitivity. That is the kind of closeness I have been trying to build in you through every season you called confusing. And I need to say this with tenderness because I know how hard your journey has been. The fact that you are still here, the fact that your heart is still responsive, the fact that something inside you is leaning in instead of turning away, that matters more than you realize. You may think you are late. You may think you have missed too much. You may think your past hesitation disqualifies you from recognizing me now. But I am not speaking to the version of you that was too wounded to trust. I am speaking to the you who stayed. I am speaking to the you who kept coming back, even if only in small ways. I am speaking to the you who still wants truth, even after disappointment. I am speaking to the you who still longs for me, even if your longing has been mixed with confusion. That is why this moment is so important. It is not just about what is opening around you. It is also about what has already changed within you. You are more ready than you think. You are more aware than you were. You are more teachable than you used to be. You are more sensitive to my presence than you give yourself credit for. And because of that, I can trust you with a moment like this. I can let something real begin to open, not because you have become perfect, but because your heart is finally in a place where it can notice me without needing to be forced. So right now, before you do anything else, I want you to receive this in the deepest part of yourself. You were led here for a reason, and what is beginning in your life deserves your full attention. Do not brush it aside. Do not label it too quickly. Do not run back into distraction before this settles into you. Let it become real. Let it move from your mind into your spirit. Let it interrupt your normal pace. Let it humble you a little. Let it wake something in you that has been sleeping under survival mode for too long. Because this is not a random pause in your day. This is the beginning of a conversation I have been trying to have with your heart for longer, and you know. And if you stay with me in it, you are going to realize that what felt like a small stop was actually the first step into something far greater than you imagined. My child, I want you to settle your heart and stay with me here, because what I am about to show you is not something I want you to rush past. You have crossed into a different season, and I need you to receive that truth before you try to measure it by what your eyes can see today. I know you are still looking around at the same walls, the same responsibilities, the same unanswered questions, the same people, the same places that have felt heavy for longer than you wanted. I know your first instinct is to say, if something truly changed, why does so much still look familiar? That is the exact reason I am speaking to you now. Not every season announces itself with noise. Some seasons end in silence, and some new beginnings arrive while the room still looks the same. I need you to understand that spiritual transitions often begin before natural evidence catches up. That does not make them less real. It makes them deeper. It means I am teaching you how to live by trust instead of impulse, how to recognize movement without demanding spectacle, how to feel the shift before the world around you gives you permission to believe it. You have spent so much time in a season that taught you how to endure. It taught you how to keep going when you did not feel strong. It taught you how to keep showing up when your emotions could not carry you. It taught you how to survive days that looked empty and nights that felt too long. It taught you what was in your heart when no one was applauding you, when nothing was visibly rewarding your effort, when you had to choose whether you would still trust me without immediate comfort. That season was not meaningless, even though parts of it hurt more than you expected. It revealed what was fragile in you. It brought hidden fears to the surface. It exposed how deeply disappointment had shaped your thinking. It showed you where you were still trying to protect yourself, more than you were letting me lead you. But listen to me carefully now. That season was not meant to become your identity. It was a place of shaping, not a place of permanent residence. I did not bring you through all of that just so you could keep living as if nothing changed. I did not strengthen you just so you could stay emotionally camped in the same wilderness. I did not teach you endurance so you could confuse endurance with destiny. You are not where you were. Stop speaking about yourself like you are still trapped in the same old cycle. Stop telling your heart that this is just another version of the same struggle. Stop letting yesterday explain today before you have even asked me what I am doing now. I want you to come closer and let me say this plainly. The season of carrying everything in confusion is ending, and the season of walking with more clarity is beginning. That does not mean every answer will arrive in one day. It means the fog is lifting. It means the things that felt tangled will begin to separate. It means the weight that made every decision feel harder than it should have will no longer define the atmosphere around you. It means you are stepping into a stretch of life where your sensitivity to my voice will matter more than your attachment to your old coping patterns. This is why I need you to respond differently. Do not keep handling this new season with the reflexes you built in the last one. Do not keep expecting the same resistance. Do not keep assuming that every good thing will collapse before it reaches you. Do not keep bracing for loss every time I begin to open something meaningful. That posture may have helped you survive before, but it will make you misread me now. Come out of that inner crouch. Lift your eyes. Breathe deeper. Let your spirit stand up inside you. You are not being careless by believing me. You are not being naive by recognizing that something has changed. You are growing. You are learning how to meet a new season without dragging the old one in behind you. And I need you to do something right now while you are listening to me. Stop for a moment and tell me, even if it is quietly in your own heart, I receive that I am no longer where I was. Say it because your inner world needs to hear it. Say it because some part of you is still waiting for permission to move forward. Say it because I am asking you to come into agreement with what I have already begun. Let that sentence become a doorway. Let it break the old script that has kept replaying in your thoughts. Let it interrupt the habit of expecting delay, fear, and heaviness as if they are the permanent language of your life. You have crossed into a different season, and your first act of obedience is not to force anything. It is to recognize it. And now I want to take you deeper, because I know you still carry the questions that rise when I speak this way. You want to know what exactly is different. You want to know how this new season will touch your life. You want to know whether this is about peace, direction, relationships, healing, provision, purpose, or that silent burden you have been carrying so long that it started to feel like part of your personality. My child, sometimes a new season is not one dramatic event. Sometimes it is a holy reordering. It is a gradual but undeniable shift in the way you hear, respond, choose, and walk. It is the kind of change that starts inside you and then begins touching everything around you. That is why I need you to pay close attention to what feels different in your spirit, not just what is happening outside of you. Notice what no longer satisfies you. Notice what no longer feels right even if it used to be normal. Notice the conversations that suddenly drain you. Notice the environments that feel louder than they used to. Notice the old habits that now leave you emptier instead of comforted. Notice how certain doors that once looked exciting now feel strangely wrong. That is not confusion. That is discernment growing. That is your spirit becoming less willing to settle for what once distracted you. This is part of the new season. I am refining your appetite. I am changing what you can tolerate. I am teaching you to recognize what feeds you and what slowly weakens you. If you keep trying to return to old patterns for comfort, you will feel friction, because I am not letting you fit there the way you once did. A discomfort is not punishment. It is proof that growth has happened. You have changed. And I need you to honor that change instead of fighting it. There are things you cannot carry into this next season, not because I am trying to make life harder, but because they do not belong where I am taking you. Some of them are obvious, and some of them are hidden. It may be an attachment you still use to soothe your anxiety. It may be a relationship you keep revisiting even though it keeps disturbing your peace. It may be the habit of talking to yourself as if failure is your most reliable future. It may be your need to understand everything before you trust me. It may be your tendency to shrink when something good starts to come close because pain taught you that closeness usually leads to disappointment. I want you to bring those things into the light. Do not hide them from me. Do not defend them. Hand them over. Invite me into the exact places where you still feel divided. This is not the time to perform. This is the time to cooperate. I am not asking you to create the season. I am asking you to stop resisting it. Let me teach you how to live differently. Let me show you how to rest without becoming passive. Let me show you how to move without panic. Let me show you how to receive without suspicion. Let me show you how to hear my guidance without filtering it through old fear. And because I want this to become practical in your life, I am giving you a simple instruction right now. Over the next hours, watch your inner responses. Do not just watch events. Watch what rises in you. When something feels peaceful, stay with me and ask why. When something feels heavy, do not ignore it. When something feels forced, pause. When something feels clear, do not overcomplicate it. This season will require attentiveness more than speed. It will require closeness more than performance. It will require your willingness to believe that I am capable of leading you into something new without first making everything around you look perfect. And I need you to hear this before we move on. You are not entering this season alone. I am not sending you ahead and watching from a distance. I'm walking with you, and I am closer than you think. So open your hands. Loosen your grip on the old season. Stop rehearsing the story of who you were when you were exhausted, afraid, and unsure. That version of you is not the one I am calling forward now. I am calling the deeper you. I am calling the stronger you. I am calling the more surrendered you. I am calling the you who has learned enough through pain that now you can finally begin to walk in peace without distrusting it. Stay near me. Listen carefully. Make room. Because you have crossed into a different season, and if you stop trying to drag the old one with you, you are going to feel my hand on your life in ways that become harder and harder to deny. My child, now that I have shown you that you are standing in a new season, I need you to understand something even more carefully, because if you reduce this next truth, you will not treat it with the reverence it deserves. What just opened in your life is bigger than you realize. I know that sentence sounds large, and I know part of you becomes cautious whenever something sounds too hopeful. You have learned to guard your expectations. You have learned to keep your emotional distance until you see proof. You have learned to downplay anything that feels significant because disappointment taught you that sometimes it hurts less if you pretend not to care. But I am asking you not to do that here. I am not inviting you into fantasy. I am inviting you into awareness. What has opened is not a small isolated blessing. It is not a single little shift that only touches one corner of your life and leaves everything else untouched. What has opened is connected. It reaches farther than you can currently see. It is tied to timing, alignment, and readiness. It is tied to the way your heart hath been changing in hidden places. It is tied to prayers you have spoken, prayers you have cried, prayers you have whispered in exhaustion, and even the prayers you stopped saying out loud because you were tired of hearing your own longing without visible movement. I have heard all of it. I have heard all of it. And what I am doing now is not me answering one request in a narrow way. I am opening a door that affects multiple layers of your life at once. This is why I need you to slow down and stop thinking so small. Sometimes you come to me asking for relief in one area, but what I have planned is a reordering that touches your peace, your identity, your direction, your relationships, your confidence, your discernment, and the way you carry yourself in the world. You have been asking me to fix one room, while I have been preparing to restore the house. You have been asking me to remove one burden, while I have been working to shift the atmosphere that made you carry so much in the first place. You have been focusing on one symptom, and I have been dealing with the deeper root. That is why this moment matters. That is why I do not want you to treat this like a passing emotional encouragement. This is not just comfort. This is not just a nice thought. This is not just a temporary lift in your spirit. Something real has opened. Something has unlocked that has consequences beyond what you can map today. There are connections you cannot see yet. There are decisions that will soon feel clearer because of what opened. There are relationships that will be exposed or strengthened because of what opened. There are patterns in your thinking that will begin to break because of what opened. There are things you tolerated that will start feeling impossible to carry because of what opened. There are opportunities that will make sense in ways they could not have before because of what opened. And yes, there may also be resistance, because whenever something meaningful begins, anything that benefited from your confusion will start losing ground. That is why I need you to remain close and not become casual. Do not respond to this moment with half attention. Do not say, if it is real, I will deal with it later. No, deal with it now. Lean in now. Ask me questions now. Invite me deeper now. Protect this awareness now. When I unlock something significant, the next hours and days matter. The way you listen matters. The way you interpret your inner world matters. The way you respond to invitations, warnings, nudges, and discomfort matters. This is not the time to go numb. This is not the time to retreat into autopilot. This is the time to become attentive in a way you have not been before. I want you to come out of passive waiting and step into present awareness. Stop telling yourself that your life only changes when something dramatic happens. I am telling you that life can shift because one real doorway opens in the spirit, and if you honor it, you begin walking into a future that feels different from the inside out. So come close. Place your hand over your heart if you need to. Breathe and listen. I want you to quietly say to me, if this is bigger than I understand, then teach me how to carry it. That prayer matters. It opens you. It softens you. It keeps you from grabbing too quickly or dismissing too easily. It makes room for me to show you what this opening actually contains. I do not need you to figure it all out today. I do need you to stop assuming that if you cannot fully explain it, it must not be real. Trust me enough to admit that what is unfolding may be larger than your current perspective. And I want to go one step further, because you need to understand why I keep emphasizing the size of what has opened. I am not trying to overwhelm you. I am trying to help you stop underestimating what I can do when your heart is finally aligned enough to receive. For a long time, you have lived beneath the weight of small expectations. You have trained yourself to hope carefully. You have tried to keep your desires manageable so the pain would feel manageable too. You have learned to tell yourself, maybe I should not expect much. Maybe I should just be grateful for surviving. Maybe I should not ask for too much. Maybe I should not believe for more than the bare minimum. I understand why you built that posture. It came from wounds. It came from delay. It came from trying to protect your heart after carrying too many disappointments. But that posture can become a prison if you keep it too long. It can make you spiritually available for survival but emotionally unavailable for restoration. It can make you open to relief but resistant to fullness. It can make you able to recognize rescue but unable to recognize abundance. And that is one reason I am speaking to you this way now. I am calling you out of tiny thinking. I am not saying this to make you chase grand fantasies or inflate your ego. I am saying it because your soul needs to make room for the possibility that when I move, I often do more than you asked because I see more than you saw. I want you to stop measuring what I am doing only by the problem that first made you cry out. The problem was real, yes. The burden mattered, yes. The pain was not imaginary, and I did not ignore it. But what I am doing is not limited to the shape of your pain. My response is not confined to the size of the question you ask. I am able to bring healing that reaches farther than the wound you named. I am able to bring order to places you had not even identified as disordered. I am able to bring peace into layers of your life you thought would always stay tense. That is why I want you to begin watching your life with new eyes. Pay attention to where your reactions start changing. Pay attention to what suddenly feels possible. Pay attention to what you no longer want to entertain. Pay attention to where courage begins rising without your usual inner battle. Pay attention to what feels lighter. Pay attention to the conversations I bring, the interruptions I allow, the convictions I place in your spirit, the sudden clarity that comes when you stop forcing. These are not random details. They are often part of how a bigger opening reveals itself. And I want to give you a direct instruction for this season, because you asked for more command and invitation language, and I want you to feel how practical my guidance can be. Do not talk yourself out of what I am revealing. Do not shrink it because you are afraid to be disappointed. Do not reduce it because it seems too good. Do not let cynicism masquerade as wisdom. Bring your questions to me, yes. Test what you sense by peace, by truth, by alignment with my character, yes. But do not kill what is growing by treating your fear as the final authority. Choose openness. Choose attentiveness. Choose reverence. Sit with me today and ask, where is this opening already touching my life? Write down what comes to you if you need to. Speak it out if it helps you receive it. Let it become concrete. Let your heart participate. I am not trying to impress you with large words. I am trying to wake you up to the reality that your life is not as stuck as you thought. Your future is not as closed as it looked. And your story is not as narrow as pain has tried to make it feel. What just opened is bigger than you realize. And if you stay close, listen deeply, and respond with honest trust instead of guarded distance, you are going to watch this truth unfold in ways that reach far beyond the first thing you thought I was talking about. My child, before you try to solve anything, before you rush to interpret everything, before you let your thoughts race ahead and turn this sacred moment into another mental storm, I need you to do something simple, something holy, something that may feel small but carries more power than you realize. Stop. Do not skim past that. Do not reduce it because it sounds too basic. Stop. Become aware. Sit with me here and let that instruction settle into your spirit. I know how your mind works when something important begins to stir. You immediately start reaching for meaning, for strategy, for certainty, for proof. You want to know what changed, why it changed, how long it will last, what it means for tomorrow, what you need to do, what could go wrong, how to protect it, how to keep yourself from getting hurt again if your hope rises and then things feel delayed. I know all of that because I know you. I know the speed of your inner world. I know the way your thoughts can turn one holy moment into 100 anxious questions before your heart has even had time to breathe. That is exactly why I am speaking this point to you now. The first thing you must do is not move faster. It is to become aware of where you are, who is with you, and what is happening in the unseen around your life. This is not a random pause. This is not a decorative spiritual suggestion. This is your first instruction because awareness changes the way you receive everything else. If you remain unconscious, distracted, emotionally scattered, and spiritually numb, you can stand in front of an open door and still miss it. You can feel my presence and still interpret it as temporary emotion. You can hear me clearly and still call it your imagination. That is why I need you to slow down and come back into your own soul. Put your hand on your chest if you need to. Feel your breathing. Notice how tense you have been. Notice how long you have been carrying pressure as if it were normal. Notice how your thoughts have been pulling you in every direction. Notice how quickly you live from reaction instead of from awareness. Then let me say this gently, but firmly. You cannot receive a holy shift while staying mentally scattered. You cannot handle a sacred opening while remaining emotionally flooded. You cannot hear my next instruction if the noise inside you is louder than my voice. So come out of the swirl. Step back from the internal storm. Do not feed it. Do not chase every thought. Do not argue with every fear. Stop giving your attention to everything that wants to steal this moment from you. Come close instead. Breathe slower. Quiet your body. Let your shoulders drop. Release the need to understand it all immediately. I am not asking you to become passive. I am asking you to become present. There is a difference, and it matters. Presence is not weakness. Presence is power under peace. It is the willingness to let your spirit notice what your panic would have rushed past. It is the courage to remain still long enough for truth to rise above noise. You have spent so much of your life reacting to urgency, reacting to pressure, reacting to wounds, reacting to people, reacting to memories, reacting to uncertainty. You have become skilled at surviving movement, but I want to teach you how to recognize me in stillness. I want to teach you how to stop long enough that your heart can finally feel the weight of my nearness. Because when you become aware, you begin to notice what was always there. You begin to feel the difference between fear and discernment. You begin to recognize the subtle but undeniable steadiness of my presence. You begin to sense that what you called confusion was sometimes just a lack of stillness. You begin to understand that some of the answers you begged me for were already close, but you were moving too fast to receive them. So hear me clearly now. Pause with intention. Do not call this weakness. Do not call this delay. This is obedience. This is the first act of alignment. This is how you stop treating your life like a constant emergency and begin treating this moment like a sacred invitation. Stay here with me for a little longer than is comfortable. Resist the urge to rush. Resist the itch to go back to noise. Resist the old habit of distracting yourself the moment something inside you starts to soften. Let it soften. Let the numbness crack. Let the tension loosen. Let your spirit wake up. This is where clarity begins. And once you begin to become aware, I want you to understand what that awareness is meant to reveal, because I do not want you to stop at a calm feeling and miss the deeper purpose. Awareness is not only about slowing your mind, it is about recognizing my presence in the room of your life. It is about realizing that you are not alone in the moment you are standing in. It is about seeing that what feels invisible is not absent. You have lived through enough pain that sometimes you assume if you cannot immediately see evidence, then nothing meaningful is happening. That belief has trained you to overlook some of the holiest moments I have ever given you. I want to break that pattern in you. I want you to learn how to become aware of me before circumstances give you permission to trust. That is maturity. That is intimacy. That is the kind of inner strength that no chaos around you can easily shake. So I want you to do this now, not later, not after you finish thinking about everything else. Right now, quietly invite me in with your own words. Say, Father, make me aware of you. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. You do not need polished language. You need openness. Then stay still long enough to notice what changes. You may feel peace before you feel answers. You may feel softness before you feel certainty. You may feel a strange, but real steadiness begin to settle where tension had been living. Do not dismiss that. That is not nothing. That is often how I begin. You keep waiting for lightning while I am offering light. You keep expecting a dramatic display while I am placing a quiet clarity inside your chest. Pay attention to that. Treasure that. Protect that. The world has trained you to value what is loud, urgent, flashy, and immediate. But I am teaching you to value what is true, deep, steady, and alive. And the moment you become aware of me, something else happens that matters just as much. You begin to see yourself more honestly. You begin to notice what you have been carrying that was never meant to remain. You begin to recognize where you are exhausted, where you are guarded, where you are angry, where you are grieving, where you are striving, where you are pretending to be fine while your soul is asking for rest. That is not failure. That is revelation. That is mercy. I am not exposing those things to shame you. I am bringing them into the light so they stop controlling you from the shadows. This is why I want more than your attention. I want your honesty. I want you to stop editing your inner world in front of me. Bring me the real version of what is happening inside you. Bring me the tightness in your chest. Bring me the thoughts you are embarrassed to admit. Bring me the fear that says, what if I hope again and it hurts? Bring me the tiredness that says, I do not know if I can carry one more delay. Bring me the resistance that says, I want to trust, but I do not know how. Do not hide it. Do not decorate it. Offer it. Let awareness become surrender. Let stillness become encounter. Let your pause become prayer. I am not calling you to freeze. I am calling you to become spiritually awake. And once you begin to live this way, you will start noticing how much changes when you stop moving blindly. You will hear my nudges sooner. You will recognize false urgency faster. You will feel when something is off before it drains you. You will know when peace is present and when pressure is trying to impersonate purpose. That is why this point matters so much. It is not a self-suggestion. It is a key. If you learn how to stop and become aware, you will stop giving away so much of your peace to confusion that was never meant to lead you. So do not just admire this instruction. Practice it. Today, in the next hour, before you respond to the next heavy thing, before you make the next decision, before you send the next message, before you revisit the same anxious loop. Stop. Breathe. Become aware. Invite me in. Then listen. I am already closer than you think, and the more you learn to notice me, the less your life will be ruled by noise pretending to be direction. My child, now that you are beginning to slow down and become aware, I need to warn you about something that has quietly stolen too many sacred moments from you in the past. Do not let fear interpret what is happening right now. This matters more than you may realize. I know you think fear only shows up when you are panicking or spiraling or visibly overwhelmed, but that is not always how it comes to you. Sometimes fear arrives dressed as caution. Sometimes it sounds like maturity. Sometimes it presents itself as wisdom because it has learned how to borrow the language of discernment. It tells you it is protecting your heart. It tells you it is helping you stay realistic. It tells you it is keeping you from disappointment. It reminds you of what happened before. It gathers old evidence and lays it before you like a courtroom case. It says, remember how hopeful you were the last time. Remember how that turned out. Remember what it cost you to trust. Remember how long you waited. Remember how embarrassed you felt when you believed too much. Remember how tired you became when nothing changed fast enough. And because those memories are real, because the wounds were real, because the disappointment did happen, you are tempted to treat fear as if it is the most trustworthy voice in the room. But hear me clearly, because I need to interrupt that pattern with tenderness and truth. Fear is not the interpreter I have assigned to your future. Fear can remember pain, but it cannot recognize purpose. Fear can catalog losses, but it cannot discern what I am opening. Fear can make quick arguments, but it cannot see what I have been building in secret. That is why I need you to stop handing it the microphone every time something meaningful begins to shift. You have done this more than once. You have felt a real stirring from me, and before your spirit could receive it, fear stepped in and translated it into danger. You have sensed a door opening, and fear told you it was probably a trap. You have felt peace rising, and fear whispered that you were just being emotionally vulnerable. You have noticed clarity coming, and fear tried to convince you that you were being impulsive. It has taken holy moments and painted them in old colors. It has taken fresh beginnings and filtered them through old endings. It has taken present grace and buried it under past pain. I am not saying this to shame you. I am saying it because I want you free. I want you to stop confusing your history with your destiny. I want you to stop assuming that because something once ended badly, every new opening carries the same outcome. That is not discernment. That is wounded expectation. And if you keep living from wounded expectation, you will keep misreading me. So I want you to become very deliberate now. When you feel fear rising, do not immediately obey it. Do not immediately call it truth. Pause and ask a better question. Is this fear speaking from old pain, or is this my spirit sensing something real? That question can change everything. Fear rushes. My peace steadies. Wordofgod. My truth clarifies. Fear clowns. My guidance becomes cleaner the longer you stay with me. This is why I told you to become aware first. Without awareness, you will react to the first loud voice that speaks. With awareness, you can test what you are hearing. You can feel the difference between pressure and peace. You can notice when your body is remembering a wound and trying to call it prophecy. You can stop letting old hurt write the meaning of new moments. I need you to do that now. Do not let the ache of what happened before become the lens for what I am doing now. You are not the same person you were then. I am not absent the way you once felt I was. The timing is not the same. The season is not the same. The inner work I have been doing in you is not the same. And what I am opening now does not deserve to be judged by what happened in a chapter that I have already used to shape you. So stand guard over your interpretation. Protect the meaning of this moment. Bring your questions to me instead of letting fear answer them for you. Bring your concerns to me instead of rehearsing them alone. Refuse to crown fear as the voice of wisdom simply because it sounds familiar. Familiar does not mean faithful. And because I love you enough to make this practical, I want to show you how to handle fear when it tries to step into this moment again, because it will try. When something real begins to open in your life, fear often gets louder before it loses ground. That does not mean it is winning. It often means it feels threatened. Anything that benefited from your hesitation, your self-doubt, your paralysis, your emotional shrinking, your distrust of peace, will not want to leave quietly. So when you feel fear start talking, do not fight it with panic. Do not collapse under it. Do not pretend it is not there. Bring it into the light with me. Name it. Say, this is fear. That simple honesty breaks some of its power. Then ask me what is actually true right now. I want you to learn that rhythm. Name what is false. Ask for what is true. That is how you stop being controlled by the first feeling that hits you. That is how you stop confusing intensity with accuracy. Fear is often intense, but intensity is not proof. Sometimes the truest thing in the room is the quietest thing until you choose to stay with it long enough. That is why I am asking you not to rush away when fear shows up. Date. Breathe. Bring it to me. Let me help you separate memory from meaning. Let me help you distinguish between caution that protects and fear that imprisons. Let me help you notice when your body is bracing for a wound that is not actually happening in the present. You have spent too much time living as if the next disappointment is always around the corner. That expectation has made you flinch from joy, second-guess peace, and hesitate at open doors. I want to heal that in you. I want to teach your inner world that not every beginning leads to the same ending. I want to retrain your heart to recognize safety in my presence. I want your nervous system, your emotions, your mind, and your spirit to start learning what it feels like to stay present without assuming harm is close. That healing may not happen in 1 second, but it begins in moments exactly like this. So receive this command with love, because it is for your freedom. Stop letting fear tell you what this means. Stop handing your interpretation to the voice that only knows how to preserve old wounds. Stop using past pain as your prophet. Instead, come closer. Ask me directly. Listen for my peace. Test what you sense by truth, by alignment, by the steady witness of my presence. If you need to, speak out loud and say, "Fear, you do not get to define this moment." That is not the acrix. That is alignment. That is you refusing to let the wrong voice narrate your life. Then invite me again. Say, "Father, teach me how to see this through your eyes." That prayer opens room for revelation. And as you practice this, you will notice something changing. Fear may still visit, but it will stop ruling. It may still speak, but it will stop deciding. It may still try to rise, but it will no longer own your interpretation. That is what I want for you. Not the absence of every feeling, but freedom from being governed by the wrong one. To hold it, go. Return to it when needed. When fear rushes in, slow down. When fear speaks loudly, lean closer to me. When fear brings evidence from the past, remember that I am not repeating your past just because it is familiar to you. I am doing something new, and if you let me teach you how to interpret this moment through trust instead of terror, you will begin to walk with a steadier heart, a clearer mind, and a deeper confidence that my hand is on your life even when the old voices try to tell you otherwise. My child, I want you to come even closer now, because this is where your heart needs to stop misreading your own story. What is opening in your life did not begin today. This did not start with this message. It did not start with the moment you felt something stir inside you. It did not start with the sudden awareness that something is shifting. I have been building toward this for far longer than you realize, and if you can receive that, you will stop calling this unexpected and begin calling it what it truly is, prepared. I know that from where you stand, so much of your journey has looked fragmented. You remember the delays, the detours, the false starts, the doors that closed just when you thought they would open, the people who disappeared just when you thought they would stay, the moments when your prayers seemed to hang in the air with no visible answer. You remember the nights when you felt like you were walking through fog so thick that even your next step felt uncertain. You remember how many times you asked me if I was still moving at all. I heard every one of those questions. I did not turn away from any of them. But now I need you to understand something that can change the way you carry this entire season. What felt random to you was not random to me. What felt delayed to you was not forgotten by me. What felt like loss to you was often protection, pruning, or positioning. I was not standing at a distance watching you stumble through a life that got out of control. I was shaping. I was arranging. I was filtering. I was guarding. I was removing what would have weakened you later. I was exposing what could not go where I am taking you. I was slowing you down when your emotions would have rushed you into things that looked right but would have cost you dearly. I was withholding certain answers, not because I wanted to frustrate you, but because an early answer would have led you into a smaller version of what I intended. I know that is hard for you to hear when you are living inside the ache of waiting. I know how painful it has been to watch time move while your heart felt suspended. But I need you to stop assuming that waiting means nothing is happening. Some of the deepest work I do is hidden. Some of the holiest construction happens underground, where your eyes cannot track it and your flesh gets impatient because it wants visible proof. You have asked me more than once why certain things had to take so long. I could answer you with 1,000 details, but the simplest truth is this. I was preparing you, and I was preparing what was coming to meet you. Both mattered. If I had brought certain things too soon, you would have embraced them from the wrong version of yourself. You would have carried them with insecurity instead of peace. You would have received them through fear instead of trust. You would have used them to soothe old wounds instead of letting them become part of true restoration. And some things around you were not ready either. Certain doors had to close. Certain people had to leave. Certain habits had to be exposed. Certain patterns in your thinking had to become obvious enough that you could no longer pretend they were harmless. I was not punishing you in that process. I was making room. I was clearing ground. I was teaching you how to recognize what is mine and what only looked familiar. So listen carefully now. Do not insult your own journey by calling it wasted. Do not reduce all those hidden years to nothing happened. Do not let the enemy convince you that because you did not understand the process was empty. It was not empty. It was full. It was quiet, but it was full. It was slow, but it was full. It was painful at times, but it was still full of my hand. I need you to honor that. I need you to stop speaking about your past seasons like they were blank pages. They were not blank. They were written in invisible ink, and now the light is beginning to reveal what I was doing all along. That is why I am asking you to shift the way you remember. Go back in your mind and look again. Look at the relationship that ended and ask me what it protected you from. Look at the delay that frustrated you and ask me what it formed in you. Look at the closed door that wounded your pride and ask me what smaller path it kept you from settling into. Look at the silence that made you feel abandoned and ask me what inner work it forced you to face. Do not run from those questions. Invite me into them. Let me reinterpret your history with you. Let me show you the fingerprints you missed because you were focused on the ache. There is healing in that. There is strength in that. There is a kind of holy confidence that begins to rise when you realize your story was not falling apart nearly as much as it felt. It was being built. And now I want you to let that truth go deeper. Because if you truly understand that I have been building toward this, you will stop treating your present moment like a fragile accident. You will stop handling it with suspicion as if it appeared out of nowhere and might collapse just as quickly. Prepared things carry a different weight. Built things carry a different stability. If I have been shaping you for this, then you do not need to meet it with panic. If I have been arranging the road beneath your feet, then you do not need to force what comes next. If I have been building toward this moment, then what I am asking from you now is not frantic performance. It is cooperation. It is trust. It is attention. It is obedience in the next simple step. That is why I want to give you a direct instruction right now. Stop treating every delay in your past as evidence against your future. Stop reading old waiting as if it proves present lack. Stop assuming that because the road was long, the destination must be uncertain. Oh, the length of the road often reflected the weight of what I was preparing. You were not being toyed with. You were being trained. You were not being ignored. You were being formed. And I need you to receive this next part carefully because it may strike a deeper place in you. Some of what you thought was you falling behind was actually me refusing to let you arrive as the wrong person. You compared yourself to others. You watched them move, build, receive, announce, celebrate. You felt like you were stuck while everyone else was stepping into something. But you were not seeing the whole picture. You were seeing speed, not substance. You were seeing movement, not maturity. You were seeing outcomes, not the unseen fractures underneath some of them. I was not interested in making your life look fast. I was interested in making your life real. I was not trying to help you win the race of appearances. I was building something in you that could carry what I release without crumbling under it. That matters. That is mercy. That is fatherly wisdom, even when it felt frustrating. So instead of grieving every delay as if it was pure loss, I want you to begin blessing the hidden process. I want you to thank me for the doors I closed before they could become cages. I want you to thank me for the relationships that ended before they could poison your future. I want you to thank me for the prayers I answered differently than you expected because your request was smaller than my intention. That gratitude will not erase the pain of what you went through, but it will redeem the meaning of it. And when the meaning is redeemed, your heart becomes freer to trust me now. That is what I want. I want your present trust strengthened by a healed view of your past. So take a moment today and do this with me. Choose 3 moments from your past that still confuse you, and bring them before me. Do not rush. Sit with them. Ask, Father, what were you building there? Write down what comes. Let me speak into your memory. Let me replace bitterness with understanding, shame with clarity, and confusion with reverence. Because the more you see that I have been building toward this, the less you will sabotage what is now unfolding with old suspicion. You will stop grabbing too hard. You will stop shrinking back too quickly. You will stop acting like every new thing must prove itself before you allow yourself to breathe. Instead, you will begin to stand differently. You will begin to feel a steadier kind of confidence. Not noisy confidence. Not performative confidence. The quiet kind. The kind that says, my Father hath been here longer than I knew. The kind that allows your shoulders to drop. The kind that lets your spirit unclench. The kind that says, I do not need to force what He has already prepared. Receive that. Hold it close. Return to it when doubt tries to make your story feel random again. This did not start today. I have been building toward it, and the more you honor the truth, the more you will be able to walk into what comes next with reverence instead of fear. My child, now that I have shown you that this moment is not random, that you have crossed into a new season, that what has opened is bigger than you realize, that you must become aware, that fear must not interpret this, and that I have been building toward this for longer than you knew, I need to give you the next instruction plainly. Bring your heart fully into agreement with me. Do not delay this. Do not treat it like a nice spiritual phrase and move on. This is a real command, and it matters because there are moments when the greatest resistance to what I am doing is not outside of you. It is inside of you. It is the private argument you keep having with the possibility of your own breakthrough. It is the quiet place in your mind where you nod at my promises but still expect disappointment. It is the hidden tension where one part of you wants to trust and another part of you keeps rehearsing reasons to stay guarded. It is the split within you between longing and self-protection, between hope and suspicion, between desire and fear. That inner division is exhausting, and it will keep draining you if you do not deal with it honestly. I am not asking you to become emotionally perfect in one moment. I am asking you to stop living in internal opposition to what I am trying to do. Agreement does not mean you understand every detail. Agreement does not mean you have no questions. Agreement does not mean you never feel fear. It means that beneath all of that, your deepest yes belongs to me. It means you stop negotiating with the old voices that tell you why this cannot be for you. It means you stop defending the doubts that have become familiar just because they have been with you a long time. It means you stop letting pain have equal authority with my word in the hidden courtroom of your heart. I want you to think about that carefully. Some of you have allowed pain to sit on the same throne where only truth belongs. You listen to what I say, but then you also let old wounds vote. You hear my invitation, but then you also consult your past. You sense my peace, but then you ask your fear if it approves. That is not agreement. That is division. And division weakens your ability to receive what is already near. I am not saying this to condemn you. I am saying it because I want to free you from the exhausting double-mindedness that has kept you circling things you were meant to walk into. I know why you became divided. I know what happened to you. I know the disappointments, the betrayals, the delays, The moments when you believed with your whole heart and then felt the ache of things not unfolding the way you expected. I know how those experiences taught you to keep part of yourself back. I know how you learned to say, "I trust God," while secretly preparing for loss. I know how you learned to ask for healing while quietly assuming you would have to carry some version of the wound forever. I know how you learned to desire change while still clinging to the identity you built around survival. But my child, if you are going to walk into what is opening, your heart cannot stay split. You do not need to fake certainty. You do need to choose allegiance. You do need to decide which voice gets the final word. So hear me with love and firmness. Stop agreeing with what is smaller than what I am saying. Stop agreeing with the lie that you are too late. Stop agreeing with the lie that your mistakes are more powerful than my mercy. Stop agreeing with the lie that your wounds are permanent definitions. Stop agreeing with the lie that because something hath been delayed, it must be denied. Stop agreeing with the lie that you are disqualified from deep peace because you have known deep pain. Those agreements have shaped your inner atmosphere for too long. They have made your soul feel like a divided house. And a divided house cannot rest. That is why I am calling you now. Come into agreement with me. Let your heart line up. Let your inner world stop pulling in opposite directions. Let your deepest self say yes, even if your emotions still need time to catch up. And because I want this to become something you can actually do, not just admire, I am going to guide you through it directly. Right now, I want you to stop and ask yourself a hard but healing question. Where am I still disagreeing with God? Be honest. Do not answer with what sounds spiritual. Answer with what is real. Maybe you disagree with me about your worth. Maybe I call you chosen, but you still treat yourself like an afterthought. Maybe I say you are not abandoned, but you still carry yourself as if no one will truly stay. Maybe I tell you there is more ahead, but you still speak about your future as if the best parts are already over. Maybe I say peace is available, but you have grown so used to tension that peace feels suspicious. Maybe I say I am restoring you, but you still introduce yourself to life through your old wounds. That is disagreement, even if you never called it that. And I am not bringing it up to shame you. I am bringing it up because what remains hidden keeps shaping you. Bring it into the light now. Name it. Speak it plainly to me. Say, Father, I see that I have been agreeing with fear here. I see that I have been agreeing with disappointment there. I see that I have been agreeing with shame in this place. I see that I have been agreeing with limitation in that area. Let the truth of that land. Then do the next thing. Renounce the false agreement and replace it with mine. This is where I want more command and invitation in your life, because your heart needs active participation, not passive observation. So do it with me. Say, I release agreement with fear. I receive agreement with truth. I release agreement with the past defining me. I receive agreement with what my Father is saying now. You do not have to make it dramatic. You do need to make it intentional. Speak it. Write it. Pray it. Let your inner world hear you choose. This is not about magic words. It is about alignment. And once you begin that process, I want you to keep it practical in the coming days. Watch what comes out of your mouth. Listen to the way you narrate your life. Pay attention to how quickly you undermine what I am doing with phrases that sound small, defeated, cynical, or resigned. If you notice yourself saying, "It probably will not last," pause. If you notice yourself saying, "This kind of thing never works for me," stop. If you notice yourself thinking, "I should not get my hopes up," bring the thought to me immediately. Those are not harmless habits. They are evidence of old agreements still trying to govern your atmosphere. Challenge them. Replace them. Invite me in. I am not asking you to become fake positive. I am asking you to become truthful. There is a difference. Truth does not deny pain. Truth simply refuses to let pain be the final authority. So choose truth. Choose agreement. Choose to let my voice become heavier than the voices that once shaped your reflexes. And if you feel resistance, do not run. Resistance often means you have found the place that most needs healing. Bring that place to me. Let me sit with you there. Let me teach your heart how to say yes again without pretending it was never heard. That is the beauty of this. I am not asking you to become someone else overnight. I am asking you to stop partnering with what is not me. Agreement is intimacy. Agreement is trust in motion. Agreement is how you make room for what I am already trying to place in your hands. So receive this as both invitation and command. Bring your heart fully into agreement with me. Do it today. Do not postpone it until you feel stronger. Strength often comes after surrender, not before it. I am here. I am near. I am not asking for a performance. I am asking for your honest yes. Give me that, and you will be amazed at how much begins to settle, open, and align inside you once your inner world stops fighting the very thing your spirit has been longing for. My child, as you bring your heart fully into agreement with me, understand that agreement is not only spoken in prayer, it is also expressed through action. When you choose to support the spreading of my word through this channel, you are sowing seed into a field where many weary hearts are waiting for light. I am the one who said, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest will not cease, and every act of generosity becomes a seed I breathe upon. Some of you feel the stirring even now, because the same spirit that is aligning your heart is inviting you to help carry this message further than your own voice could reach. When you give through super thanks, become a member, or sow through the PayPal link in the video description, you are pouring oil into a lamp that guides lost travelers back to me. This is not a small gesture. It is part of the river I am releasing in this moment to reach souls who are praying in the dark. I will remember every seed placed in obedience, and I will cause favor, provision, and unexpected doors to meet you along your path. So if your heart is in agreement with me right now, do not hesitate. Sow your seed and act immediately. My child, I need you to stay with me here, because this is where many people feel the truth of what I am saying but still struggle to step fully into it. What is opening before you is real, and what I am calling you into is not small, but there is something you must understand if you are going to receive it the right way. The old version of you cannot carry this well. I do not say that to wound you. I say it to free you. There is a version of you that learned how to survive in seasons of disappointment, delay, confusion, rejection, and silent pain. That version of you became skilled at enduring. It became careful. It became guarded. It learned how to lower expectations before hope had a chance to rise too high. It learned how to protect your heart by assuming less, wanting less, speaking less, and emotionally bracing before anything meaningful came close. That version of you was not evil. It was not foolish. It was trying to keep you safe with the tools it had. It was built in the smoke of battles you did not ask for. It was shaped in rooms where you had to be stronger than you should have needed to be. It was formed in long seasons where silence felt louder than answers and where survival felt holier than dreaming. I know that version of you well. I saw it form. I was with you when you built those walls. I watched you create those inner habits one brick at a time. I know why you became careful. I know why you started expecting disappointment before joy had time to enter the room. I know why you became suspicious of peace. I know why you learned to smile while staying emotionally half-hidden. I know why you kept part of your heart folded away like a letter you were afraid to open again. I know why you started telling yourself that being realistic meant never hoping too much. But my child, listen to me with tenderness and with courage now. The version of you that survived that season is not the version of you I am calling forward in this one. I am grateful you made it through. I am grateful you kept going. I am grateful you did not let the fire consume what I planted in you. But surviving is not the same as receiving. Enduring is not the same as entering. You can be faithful in pain and still need to unlearn what pain taught you before you can walk well in peace. You can be strong in hardship and still need healing in the way you relate to blessing. That is where you are now. What I am opening is not meant to be met by the same inner posture that was built to survive lack. If you try to carry this new season with the old reflexes, you will mishandle what I am placing in front of you. You will stand at a door and still flinch as if it is a threat. You will feel peace and still search for hidden danger. You will hear my invitation and still interpret it through the voice of self-protection. You will receive something beautiful and then hold it with trembly hands because you are still expecting it to be taken away. I do not want that for you. I want more for you than just reaching the threshold. I want you to know how to live inside what I am giving you. I want you to stop reacting to love, peace, clarity, and restoration as if they are temporary visitors. I want your inner world to become a place where goodness is no longer treated like an intruder. That means something must be released. It means you must stop clinging to the identity built around survival as if it is the truest version of who you are. It may have protected you once, but it will suffocate what I am growing now if you keep bowing to it. So I want you to do something difficult and holy today. Look honestly at the version of yourself you have been dragging forward. Ask yourself where you still live like someone waiting to be disappointed. Ask yourself where you still speak like someone who expects loss. Ask yourself where you still shrink when something good gets close. Ask yourself where you still feel more comfortable in tension than in peace because peace feels unfamiliar. Do not hide from those answers. Bring them to me. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. That is how healing begins. You do not need to hate the old version of you. You do need to stop worshiping it. You do need to stop protecting patterns I am trying to break. You do need to stop romanticizing the pain-shaped identity that once kept you afloat but now keeps you from receiving fully. Honor what you survived, yes. Thank me for carrying you through, yes. But do not build your future around a version of yourself that was only meant to get you through the storm, not define the rest of your life. Release that old posture. Open your hands. Stop gripping the survival self, as if letting it go means becoming careless. It does not. It means becoming healed enough to live differently. And I want to take you deeper into this, because I know how subtle this can be. Sometimes you think you have moved on simply because the crisis has ended. But the crisis can leave fingerprints all over your reflexes long after the season changes. You may no longer be in the same storm, yet you still carry the weather inside you. You may no longer be surrounded by the same pain, yet your heart still reacts as if it is one breath away. That is why I am not only asking you to leave behind circumstances, I am asking you to release internal patterns. The old version of you is not just a memory. It is a posture. It is the way you tense up when I begin to bless you. It is the way you apologize for wanting more. It is the way you call yourself fine when your soul is exhausted. It is the way you reject rest because part of you feels more secure when you are striving. It is the way you keep one foot emotionally out the door even when I am trying to bring you into something safe. It is the way you treat your own heart like it must stay on guard forever. My child, come here and hear me carefully, You do not have to stay armed against joy. You do not have to keep negotiating with peace as if it must prove itself to you before you can breathe. You do not have to keep carrying the weight of old betrayals into rooms I never designed to wound you. You do not have to keep introducing yourself to your future through the language of your past. That is why I want to give you a direct instruction right now. I want you to say, with honesty and intention, Father, I release the version of me that only knew how to survive. Do not rush through that. Let it hit the places inside you that are still clenched. Let it touch the part of you that still believes being guarded is the same as being wise. Let it reach the places where your heart has quietly made vows like, I will never trust that much again, or I will never let myself hope like that again, or I will never need anyone that deeply again, or I will never expect too much from God because the waiting hurt too much. Those vows matter. They are often hidden agreements with pain. Bring them out. Break them with me. Tell me, I no longer want to live from that version of myself. Then invite me to show you who is emerging instead. That matters because release is only half of this point. I am not stripping you of identity and leaving you empty. I am making room for the truer you, the deeper you, the healed you, the softer but stronger you, the you who can carry peace without suspicion, the you who can receive direction without frantic control, the you who can be loved without immediately preparing for abandonment, the you who can hear my promises and not instantly shrink them down to a size your wounds can tolerate. That version is already being formed. You do not need to invent it. You need to stop resisting it. So watch yourself in the coming days. Pay attention when you feel the old version of you trying to take over. When you hear yourself saying, "This will probably fall apart," stop. When you feel yourself pulling away from something good because vulnerability feels dangerous, pause. When you notice yourself reaching for old coping habits that numb you instead of bringing you to me, interrupt the pattern. Speak to me in that moment. Ask me, is this the old version of me reacting? Let me answer. Let me guide. Let me retrain the reflexes of your heart. This is how transformation becomes lived, not just felt. It is not one dramatic release and then perfection. It is a series of holy recognitions, where you choose the new path instead of the familiar one. That is why I am asking for your participation. Come willingly. Bring your whole heart. Stop defending what I am asking you to lay down. You do not owe survival mode your life loyalty. It got you here, but it is not meant to lead you further. I am. So let it go. Let me lead. Step forward. Breathe. You are safe enough with me to become someone new, and that newness is not pretending your pain never happened. It is letting my love become stronger in you than what the pain taught you to expect. My child, now that I have called you to release the old version of yourself that could only survive, I need to tell you what posture will actually help you receive what is opening in front of you. What you need most in this moment is surrender, not striving. This may sound simple when you first hear it, but I want you to stay with me because this point reaches into one of the deepest habits you have built over time. When something important starts to happen, when you sense a shift, when you feel possibility, when you realize something in your life may actually be changing, one of your first instincts is often to start working harder. You move quickly into effort. You start planning, adjusting, overthinking, fixing, organizing, bracing, and trying to prove that you are ready. You start reaching for control because part of you believes that if something valuable is near, you must secure it by force. You may not even realize you are doing it because it feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels active. It feels like wisdom. But so often, beneath that movement is a hidden fear that says, If I do not manage this carefully enough, I might lose it. That fear can turn a holy moment into a heavy one. It can take something I am offering in peace and wrap it in pressure. It can make you respond to grace as if it were a test you have to pass. My child, hear me closely. I am not asking you to earn what I am opening. I am not asking you to become frantic so you can prove yourself worthy of what I already decided to bring near. I am not asking you to grip tightly so nothing slips through your fingers. I am asking you to surrender. And surrender is not weakness. Surrender is not laziness. Surrender is not passivity. Surrender is alignment. It is the willingness to let me lead at the pace I choose. It is the courage to stop forcing outcomes so you can actually hear my direction. It is the humility to admit that your effort is not the source of the breakthrough. It is the maturity to know the difference between faithful obedience and anxious overfunctioning. You have spent a long time in seasons where effort felt necessary just to stay afloat. You had to push through exhaustion. You had to keep moving when you were empty. You had to do what needed to be done. I saw all of that. I honored all of that. But the survival skills that kept you afloat in one season can become a burden in the next if you keep using them where surrender is required. You can accidentally turn every invitation from me into a task list. You could hear a promise and immediately translate it into performance. You can feel peace begin to rise and then interrupt it by trying to manage every possible outcome before I have even finished speaking. That is why I am interrupting you now. Put the list down for a moment. Step back from the mental scramble. Release the pressure to get everything right immediately. Stop trying to earn through motion what can only be received through trust. I want you to notice your body even now. Feel where you tense when something important begins. Feel where your jaw tightens, your chest constricts, your thoughts accelerate. That physical shift often reveals the moment striving has taken over. When you feel it, do not ignore it. Pause. Breathe. Return to me. Ask, Father, am I surrendering or am I striving? Let that question become part of your rhythm. It will save you from so much unnecessary exhaustion. Because when striving leads, you become noisy inside. When surrender leads, you become clearer. Striving grabs too soon. Surrender listens. Striving tries to gun uncertainty. Surrender lets trust mature. Striving often creates motion without peace. Surrender may move more slowly, but it carries the fragrance of my presence. And that matters. I need you to stop assuming that more effort always means more faithfulness. Sometimes more effort is just fear wearing work clothes. Sometimes the most obedient thing you can do is sit still long enough to hear me before you move. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is unclench your inner grip and say, Father, I do not need to force what you are already unfolding. That sentence may sound simple, but for you it may be revolutionary. Because it breaks an old pattern. It tells your nervous system, your emotions, and your soul that not everything valuable in your life must be maintained through constant tension. It reminds you that I am capable. It puts me back in my rightful place as Father, instead of letting your anxiety become the manager of your future. And I want you to understand what surrender looks like in a practical, lived way, because I know you do not want vague inspiration. You want to know how to walk this. Surrender means you keep listening instead of rushing ahead. It means you obey the step I give you instead of inventing 5 more because you feel nervous in the waiting. It means you let me define timing instead of trying to accelerate what I am unfolding because your discomfort with uncertainty is flaring up. It means you can hold a promise with open hands instead of white-knuckled control. It means you stop assuming that if you are not constantly doing something, then nothing important is happening. That assumption has drained you. That assumption has made you restless in places where I was trying to teach you peace. That assumption has made you feel guilty for resting and suspicious of stillness. I want to break that. I want you to experience the strength of surrendered trust. So here's what I want you to do today. When you feel the urge to overmanage what I am doing, stop and say, "Father, I surrender this moment to you." When you catch yourself creating mental scenarios, rehearsing outcomes, and trying to solve 10 things I have not asked you to solve, interrupt it. Come back. Breathe. Invite me in. Ask, what is my actual next step? That question will protect you from wasting energy on imagined assignments. So much of your striving comes from trying to carry responsibilities I never handed you. You assume that because something matters, you must immediately carry the full weight of it. But I often lead one step at a time, and I do that because I know what your heart can hold. If I gave you everything at once, your fear would start trying to manage it all. So I give you the next step. Under that, do not despise the simplicity of it. If I tell you to rest, rest. If I tell you to wait, wait. If I tell you to speak, speak. If I tell you to let go, let go. If I tell you to apologize, forgive, call, write, stop, start, pray, listen, or walk away, then do that and stop trying to build a larger script before I hand it to you. That is surrender in motion. It is not inactive. It is precise. It is peaceful. It is deeply relational. And I want to say this too, because some part of you still believes surrender means vulnerability without safety. You are not surrendering into emptiness. You are surrendering into my hands. That changes everything. I am not asking you to stop trying so that life can toss you around. I am asking you to stop forcing so that I can guide you. I am not asking you to become careless. I am asking you to become yielded. There is a holy difference between those two things. Yielding is strong. Yielding takes trust. Yielding requires you to believe that I am good even when the next step is not fully visible. And that is exactly the kind of trust that unlocks peace in your life. So receive this command with gentleness and firmness. Surrender. Release the frantic need to manage what I am managing. Lay down the pressure to perform for what I have already chosen to open. Refuse to turn grace into a grind. Come sit with me. Bring me your lists, your urgency, your what-ifs, your hidden need to control. Lay them down. Let me show you the next simple step. Let me carry the weight that never belonged on your shoulders. Let me teach you how to move from trust instead of tension. Because what you need most right now is not another burst of effort. It is the deep exhale of a heart that finally realizes it does not have to force what the Father is already unfolding. My child, now that I have asked you to release the old version of yourself and stop turning this sacred moment into a performance of striving, I need you to come into something even more personal with me. I do not want polished words from you right now. I do not want the version of your heart that knows how to sound spiritual while staying hidden. I do not want the careful phrases you have learned to use when you are trying to keep yourself emotionally protected, or when you want to appear composed, or when you are afraid that if you say what is really inside you, it might sound messy, weak, confused, or even disappointing. I want honesty. I want you. I want the real conversation. Speak to me honestly right here. Do not postpone it. Do not tell yourself you will pray later when you feel more ready. You are ready the moment you stop pretending. You are ready the moment you let the real thing come out. I already know what is inside you. I know the tension you are carrying beneath the surface of your calm. I know the questions you have been circling in your mind. I know the thoughts you feel embarrassed to say out loud. I know the part of you that wants to believe this is real, and the other part of you that still whispers, What if I let my heart open and I get hurt again? I know the ache you carry from prayers that felt delayed. I know the disappointment that never fully left, even though you tried to move on. I know the quiet resentment you have battled at times, the fatigue that settled into your spirit, the places where you kept functioning on the outside while inside you felt like your soul was running on fumes. I know the loneliness that came when you smiled in front of people but felt unseen in the deeper places. I know the burden you carried when you told everyone you were fine because you did not know how to explain what was actually happening in you. I know all of it. But there is still something powerful that happens when you choose to say it to me. Honesty is not for my information. Honesty is for your freedom. When you speak truthfully to me, you stop letting hidden things rule you from the shadows. When you tell me what you are actually feeling, you stop forcing your pain to wear a mask. When you admit your confusion, your fear, your hope, your exhaustion, your anger, your grief, your longing, and your desire, something in your inner world begins to unclench. That is why I am calling you here now. This is not the moment for distance. This is not the moment for edited prayers. This is not the moment for vague religious language that says a lot but reveals very little. Come closer. Sit down with me in the real place. Tell me if you are scared. Tell me if you are tired. Tell me if you are hopeful but hesitant. Tell me if part of you wants to run. Tell me if you do not know how to trust fully yet. Tell me if you are angry about how long certain things took. Tell me if you are still grieving what you lost while I am trying to show you what is opening. Tell me if you are confused about what this means. Tell me if you feel peace but do not know how to hold it. Tell me if you feel numb and wish you felt more. Tell me if your heart is trying to wake up but is still afraid. Do not censor it. Do not clean it up before you bring it to me. I am not looking for a performance. I am looking for relationship. This is where the atmosphere changes. This is where your spirit stops talking around the issue and starts bringing the issue itself into the light. This is where you stop giving your strongest emotions to your private thoughts and your weakest language to me. I want the deeper part. I want the real part. Because the more honest you become with me, the less power secrecy, shame, confusion, and internal tension have over you. They thrive in vagueness. They weaken in truth. That is why I am telling you now, stop hiding behind spiritual politeness. Come and talk to me like I am truly your father, because I am. Let your words breathe. Let your voice shake if it needs to. Let tears come if they rise. Let silence sit between us if that is what honesty looks like for a moment. I am not in a hurry. I am not disappointed by your humanity. I am not repelled by your struggle. I am inviting you deeper through it. This is your moment to stop talking to yourself more than you talk to me. Bring me the actual weight. Bring me the actual ache. Bring me the actual desire. This is where healing begins to move in ways you can feel. And I want to show you why this matters so much in the exact season you are in, because honest prayer is not just emotional release. It is alignment. It is intimacy. It is how you stop building your life around internal assumptions and start letting me speak into the places that have been silently shaping you. Some of the things you keep battling are not growing stronger because they are powerful. They are growing stronger because they remain unspoken. The enemy loves vague spirituality because it allows real wounds to stay buried under acceptable language. But I want the wound itself, not just the summary. I want the hidden sentence you have been carrying. I want the belief you formed in pain that you never fully challenge. I want the vow you made when your heart was breaking. I want the secret conclusion you came to when the door closed, when the person left, when the answer delayed, when the betrayal landed, when the silence stretched longer than you thought it would. Some of you quietly decided, I should not expect too much. Some of you quietly concluded, I will always have to carry more than other people. Some of you decided, I can survive, but I cannot fully rest. Some of you started believing, if something good comes close, it probably will not stay. Those are not just passing thoughts. Those are inner agreements, and they continue shaping how you hear me, how you respond to life, how you interpret peace, how you handle love, and how you stand in front of open doors. That is why I need you to speak honestly right here. Bring those hidden conclusions to me. Say them out loud in my presence if you need to. Let your own ears hear what has been operating inside you. Then let me answer. Because when you speak honestly, you make room for me to speak specifically. And specific truth breaks specific lies. That is why I want you to stop praying only in broad, safe language when what you need is direct conversation. Ask me pointed questions. Saying, Father, why am I still afraid of this? Ask, what part of me still does not believe you here? Ask, where am I still agreeing with the past? Ask, what am I protecting that you are trying to heal? Ask, what do you want me to release? Ask what is true right now, not just what feels familiar. Then be still. Write what comes if that helps you stay present. Let the conversation become real. Let this become a practice, not just a moment. And I want to give you a direct invitation and a direct command here because you asked for more of both. Stop carrying a secret conversation inside your own mind that never gets brought into my presence. End that pattern. Invite me into the exact sentence you have been repeating in the dark. Invite me into the fear that visits at night. Invite me into the anger you do not like admitting. Invite me into the sadness you have disguised as tiredness. Invite me into the longing you keep minimizing because it feels too vulnerable. I can handle all of it. I do not need your polished version to stay close to you. I want your real one. So come now. Speak to me honestly right here. Not tomorrow. Not when the atmosphere feels more spiritual. Not when you have more energy. Right here, in the middle of your actual life. Right here, in the middle of your questions. Right here, in the middle of your hope and your hesitation. I am not waiting for the perfect prayer. I am waiting for the honest one. And when you give me that, you will feel something begin to shift. The pressure to perform will lift. The need to pretend will weaken. The noise inside you will begin to separate. You will start to hear me more clearly because you will no longer be trying to protect me from your truth. My child, I am not fragile. I am your Father. Bring me the truth. Let me sit with you in it. Let me answer what you have been afraid to ask. Let me comfort what you have been trying to manage alone. Let me touch the places that religious language has been covering but not healing. That is what this point is for. It is not a suggestion for later. It is your invitation now. Speak to me honestly right here, and watch how much lighter your soul becomes when the hidden places are finally allowed to breathe in the light of my presence. My child, now that I have brought you into a place of honesty with me, I need to say something that may seem practical on the surface but is deeply spiritual at its core. Guard this moment from distraction. Do not treat that as a minor instruction. Do not assume it is obvious. Distraction has stolen more from you than you realize. It has not always come through obvious sin or dramatic failure. Often it has come through small leaks, scattered attention, emotional avoidance, endless noise, constant input, unfinished thoughts, restless habits, and the subtle pull of things that seem harmless until they quietly rob you of presence. This moment is sacred, and anything sacred must be protected. You have just come into deeper awareness. You have faced fear. You have begun to release the old version of yourself. You have started to let honesty rise in your prayer. Do not walk away from that and immediately throw your attention back into chaos as if what just happened can survive without care. I am not saying this to make you anxious. I am saying it because seeds need soil, not traffic. If you want what I am doing and you to go deeper, you must learn how to protect it. Some of the most important shifts in your life have been subtle at first. They did not arrive with fireworks. They arrive as clarity, conviction, peace, tenderness, inner awakening, a new sensitivity, a quiet but unmistakable sense that something in you was changing. And yet how many times have you felt that, only to rush back into noise before the moment could take root? How many times have you sensed me drawing near, only to let the next distraction scatter what was beginning to settle? How many times have you felt conviction, peace, or direction, and then drowned it in endless scrolling, compulsive busyness, unnecessary conversations, emotional numbing, or mental clutter because staying with the holy moment felt too vulnerable? I know why you do it. Sometimes distraction feels safer than depth. Sometimes noise feels easier than intimacy. Sometimes activity feels more manageable than letting your soul fully feel what is happening. But hear me with love and firmness now. If you do not guard what I am planting, you will keep wondering why so many sacred moments feel powerful in the moment but faint by the next day. It is not always because the moment was less real. Sometimes it is because you did not protect it. That truth matters. And I need you to understand that guarding a moment does not mean becoming grammatic or legalistic. It means becoming intentional. It means recognizing value and responding accordingly. If someone handed you something fragile and precious, you would not toss it in the back seat and drive recklessly. You would hold it carefully. You would create space for it. You would adjust how you move because of what you are carrying. That is the posture I am asking of you now. You are carrying something precious. You are holding a moment that has weight. Do not throw it back into the same atmosphere that has been training you to stay shallow. Guard it. Protect it. Slow down. If you need to step away from unnecessary noise for a while, do it. If you need to sit in silence longer than feels comfortable, do it. If you need to resist the urge to explain everything to everyone before it has even rooted in you, do it. If you need to put your phone down, turn the music off, close the extra tabs in your mind, and just remain with me, do it. This is not about being extreme. It is about being wise. Some things grow in quiet. Some things strengthen in stillness. Some truths need a little space before they can become stable enough to withstand outside voices. That is why I am telling you now. Do not rush back into the stream of distraction as if it costs nothing. It costs more than you think. It steals tenderness. It weakens clarity. It dulls sensitivity. It blurs conviction. It makes you less aware of my voice. It trains your soul to become reactive instead of receptive. And I am trying to move you out of that. I am trying to teach you how to remain. How to stay. How to dwell with me long enough that the moment becomes formation, not just inspiration. This is your command for right now. Protect the atmosphere around what I am doing in you. Treat it like treasure because it is. And I want to take this even deeper, because guarding the moment is not only about external distractions. It is also about internal ones. Some of the loudest distractions in your life are not around you. They are within you. They are the loops you keep revisiting, the worries you keep rehearsing, the emotional habits that pull you away from presence, the urge to analyze everything before it has had time to settle, the inner restlessness that makes it hard for you to stay with anything holy for long. You can sit in a quiet room and still be deeply distracted. That is why I want you to become more discerning. Learn what steals your attention from my presence, even when it looks innocent. Notice what happens in you right after a meaningful moment. Does your mind start spiraling into logistics? You suddenly feel the urge to check something, fix something, text someone, consume more content, clean something, eat something, or mentally run ahead to the next task. Those impulses are not always random. Sometimes they are avoidance. Sometimes they are fear trying to keep depth from taking root. Sometimes they are your old nervous system trying to pull you back into familiar motion because stillness has become unfamiliar. That is why I want you to interrupt those patterns with intention. When you feel that pull, do not just obey it. Pause and ask, am I protecting this moment or am I escaping it? That question can expose so much. And when you realize you are about to escape, come back. Ream. Say a little longer. Let the silence stretch. Let the emotion settle. Let the truth sink deeper. Let the discomfort surface if it needs to. Sometimes what feels like I need a distraction is actually the exact place where healing is about to begin if you stay. So do not always run from the edge of discomfort. Invite me into it. Sit there with me. Ask, what is this trying to pull me away from? And listen. This is how you become a guardian of your own soul instead of a victim of your own impulses. And because I want this to be practical, I am giving you a few direct commands for today. After this message, do not immediately flood yourself with unnecessary input. Give me at least a little protected space. Stay with me. If possible, be quiet for a while. Write down what I have been stirring in you. Capture the thoughts, the convictions, the emotions, the instructions, the shifts. If there is one thing I have highlighted, circle it. If there is one area that feels tender, bring it back to me. If there is one invitation I am making, say yes to it clearly. Do not let this become another moment you felt deeply and then lost to the next wave of noise. Yard it. Return to it later today. Revisit what I said. Let it breathe. Let it settle. Let it become part of you. And one more thing, be wise about who gets access to this moment too soon. Not every sacred thing is meant for public air before it has rooted. Some people will not understand what I am doing in you because they only know your old patterns. Some voices will pull you back into doubt before you have even had time to stabilize in trust. That does not mean isolate yourself in fear. It means discern. Protect. Honor the process. Let me show you when to speak and when to stay quiet. Because when you learn to guard a sacred moment, you begin to see something beautiful happen. What once faded quickly starts to deepen. What once felt temporary begins to stabilize. What once felt like a passing emotional touch begins to become inner transformation. That is what I want for you. Not just a strong moment, but a rooted life. Not just inspiration, but formation. Not just a spark, but a steady flame. So hear me one more time, and take it seriously because I am saying it for your good. Guard this moment from distraction. Protect what I am planting. Resist what scatters. Stay with what deepens. Remain with me. And you will begin to discover that some of the biggest changes in your life do not come from one loud breakthrough alone, but from the way you honor the quiet moments where I first placed the seed in your heart. My child, come close again, because this next part touches one of the places where your heart becomes most restless. You want to see everything too quickly. You want the full picture before you take the next step. You want the map before the first mile. You want the explanation before the invitation. You want the outcome before the obedience. I understand why. I know how many times uncertainty has made you feel exposed. I know how many seasons you have walked through where the unknown felt heavy, where waiting felt like wandering, where silence felt like absence, where not knowing made your mind race and your heart tighten. I know that in those moments you started telling yourself that if you could just see more, understand more, predict more, and secure more, then maybe you would finally feel safe. But hear me carefully now, because I want to break that cycle with tenderness and truth. Your need to see everything immediately is not the same as wisdom. Often it is fear looking for control. Often it is pain trying to negotiate with uncertainty. Often it is the old version of you, the survival-shaped version, trying to feel secure by demanding information before trust has a chance to breathe. I am not saying you should ignore discernment. I am not telling you to become reckless, impulsive, or careless. I am telling you that if you insist on full visibility before you move with me, you will keep turning holy invitations into delayed opportunities. Some doors in your life do not open because you have mastered every detail. Some doors open because you trusted me enough to step when I gave you enough light for the next step, not the whole staircase. That matters deeply in the season you are in now. What is opening in front of you is bigger than one moment. It is layered. It is connected. It is unfolding. It is not always meant to be understood in one glance. If I gave you every detail at once, you might panic. If I showed you every turn, you might try to manage what I only want you to trust. If I laid out the entire future, you might focus on the far horizon and miss the grace I am placing in your hands today. So I am asking you to loosen your grip on immediacy. Stop demanding full clarity as the price of your obedience. Stop treating the unknown as a threat simply because it is still hidden. Stop assuming that if you cannot see everything, then nothing solid is happening. That belief has made you anxious in moments where I was actually being kind. Sometimes what I withhold is not punishment. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is mercy. Sometimes it is my way of keeping your heart near me instead of letting your mind run ahead into self-reliance. I want you to think about how often you have wanted an answer, and when it did not come all at once, you started filling the silence with your own conclusions. You assumed the delay meant no. You assumed the fog meant danger. You assumed the lack of immediate proof meant you should pull back emotionally. You assumed the quiet meant I was distant. But what if the quiet was invitation? What if the partial view was not rejection but relationship? What if the reason you could not see it all was because I wanted to teach you how to walk with me, not just use me for information? That is what this season is doing in you. It is training you to trust my nearness more than your need for instant understanding. It is teaching you that revelation can come in layers and still be trustworthy. It is showing you that peace can arrive before the full explanation, and that peace itself is often part of the explanation. So do something with me right now. Release the demand. Tell me, Father, I release the need to know everything before I trust you. Let those words touch the part of you that keeps bargaining with me. Let them reach the place where your mind tries to take over whenever the future is not immediately visible. Let them land in the place where fear calls itself wisdom because it wants every answer before it risks hope. Then breathe. Let the pressure drop. You do not need the entire sky to be clear before you can walk in the light I am giving you now. You only need enough for the next step, and I am faithful to give that. I have not brought you this far to abandon you in ambiguity. I am leading you. I am revealing what you need when you need it. I am not late, and I am not vague for sport. I am wise. I am careful. I am fatherly. I know what to show you, when to show you, and how much your heart can carry at once. Trust that. Receive that. Stop punishing the present because the future is not fully visible yet. And I want to take this deeper, because this point is not only about your relationship with information. It is about your relationship with trust itself. The need to see everything immediately has been quietly exhausting you because it has turned waiting into warfare when it was often meant to become intimacy. you have spent so much energy trying to force certainty out of what was only meant to be walked one step at a time. You replay possibilities, rehearse outcomes, build scenarios, anticipate pain, and try to emotionally prepare for every direction life could go, all because part of you thinks if you can predict enough, you can protect yourself. But prediction is not peace. Mental over-preparation is not safety. Constant internal scanning is not spiritual maturity. It is often just fear asking your mind to build walls out of information. My child, you do not need to become your own prophet of every possible problem. You do not need to stand at the doorway of what I am opening and demand to know every twist of the road before you let yourself breathe. That posture will make you tired and suspicious. It will make you hesitate when I am asking you to step. It will make you overthink what I am trying to keep simple. So I want to give you a practical rhythm for this season. When you notice yourself reaching for answers I have not given yet, pause and ask me one honest question. What is the next thing you want me to know? Not the next 10 things. Not the whole strategy. Not the entire outcome. Just the next thing. That question is humble. That question keeps you near. That question protects you from turning uncertainty into panic. And when I show you the next thing, honor it. Do not despise it because it feels too small. Do not reject it because it does not satisfy your hunger for complete control. Sometimes the next thing is simply rest. Sometimes it is wait. Sometimes it is call that person. Sometimes it is stop revisiting that door. Sometimes it is write this down. Sometimes it is forgive. Sometimes it is stay quiet. Sometimes it is take the meeting. Sometimes it is let go. That next thing is not trivial. It is the bridge to the next layer of revelation. You do not need to make it dramatic. You do need to obey it. And I want you to hear something else that your heart needs in order to stop fighting this. Not seeing everything immediately does not mean you are behind. It does not mean you missed the signal. It does not mean you failed to hear me. It often means you are exactly where I want you. Dependent, listening, available, and close enough that I can keep unfolding the path in relationship instead of in detached information. That is not weakness. That is maturity information. So when the urge rises again to demand the full picture, I want you to interrupt it. Do not let it spiral. Say, Father, give me the grace to trust the light I have. Then bring your attention back to the present. What peace is here? What conviction is here? What invitation is here? What next step is here? What do I already know that I have not yet honored? That last question is especially important because often you are asking for more light while still ignoring what I already showed you. Do not do that. Obey the light you have, and more light will come. Protect that rhythm. Practice it in small things so it becomes natural in big things. This is how you stop living at war with mystery and start living in step with me. This is how you stop turning every hidden detail into a source of anxiety and start recognizing that some things are still hidden because they are still being prepared. This is how your soul learns to exhale. So receive this command with love. Let go of the need to see everything immediately. Release the rush. Stop trying to pull tomorrow into today. Stop interrogating the future as if it owes you instant certainty. Come back to me. Stay near. Walk the next step. Hold the promise with open hands. And let the unfolding itself become part of the miracle, because some of the most beautiful things I do in your life are not only in the final outcome, but in the way I teach your heart to trust me while the path is still revealing itself. My child, I need you to listen to me with special attention now, because this point is not abstract and it is not meant for some distant future. Your obedience in the next few hours matters. Not next month. Not someday when life feels calmer. Not when you feel more prepared, more spiritual, more emotionally stable, or more certain. The next few hours matter. I am saying that because you are standing in a window of sensitivity. Something is open. Something is moving. Something in your spirit has been stirred, and this is the kind of moment where small acts of obedience carry unusual weight. I need you to understand that. You keep looking for giant turning points, but many of the biggest shifts in your life are connected to simple, timely responses. You have had moments before where I was inviting you into alignment, but because the instruction seems small, you treated it casually. You assumed the big breakthrough would come through some dramatic event, some massive visible change, some loud confirmation. But often the hinge is hidden in something much quieter. A conversation you need to have. A message you need to stop waiting to send. A boundary you need to set. A door you need to stop revisiting. A habit you need to break. A prayer you need to pray honestly. A person you need to forgive. A place you need to leave. A truth you need to write down. A decision you need to stop delaying. A silence you need to honor. A call you need to make. A distraction you need to cut off. A surrender you need to complete. These things can look small, but they are not small when they are timely. Timing changes weight. Timing changes meaning. Timing turns ordinary actions into sacred ones. That is why I am speaking to you now with urgency wrapped in love. Do not delay what I highlight in the next few hours. Do not overthink it into disobedience. Do not call it later when I am saying now. Do not wait for more signs if I have already made the next step clear. I know you. I know how quickly you can drift back into analysis when something starts to feel important. I know how you can sense a nudge from me, and then immediately begin evaluating it from every angle until the fire cools. I know how you can call that process discernment when sometimes it is simply hesitation wearing a wise face. I am not telling you to be reckless. I am telling you to be responsive. There is a difference. Responsiveness is the fruit of closeness. It means you are paying attention. It means your heart is not dragging its feet while your spirit is trying to move. It means you trust that when I speak, I am not playing games with you. So listen for me now. What have I already been highlighting? What keeps coming back to your mind with a quiet but persistent weight? What truth has been pressing on your heart? What conversation have you been postponing? What action have you been avoiding because it feels vulnerable, inconvenient, or uncomfortable? What do you already know that you have not yet honored? Ask those questions honestly. This is not the time to look away. This is the time to act. I am not asking you to solve your entire life today. I am asking you to obey the next thing I am putting in front of you. That next thing may not impress anyone. It may not look dramatic. It may not even make complete sense to you at first. But if it carries my peace and my conviction, it matters. Do not measure it by size. Measure it by source. If it is from me, treat it with reverence. And do something else for me right now. Stop waiting to feel more ready before you obey. Readiness often follows obedience more than it precedes it. Strength often rises after the yes, not before it. Clarity often sharpens once you move. If you keep demanding full emotional comfort before you act, you will stay circling things that were meant to be settled. I am calling you out of that cycle. Zeb. Respond. Move with me. The next few hours are not ordinary. Treat them like a holy intersection. Watch what I highlight. Honor what I say. Protect what I stir. And if you are unsure, Bring the question to me quickly instead of dragging it through endless internal debate. I am near. I am not hiding the next step from you to make you anxious. I am revealing it in ways that require your attention. Give me that attention. Give me that response. Give me that simple, timely yes. And I want to show you why this matters so deeply, because obedience in the next few hours is not only about one task. It is about the formation of your responsiveness. It is about teaching your heart that when I move, you move with me instead of watching from a distance. So much of your frustration in past seasons has come from this painful pattern. You felt me stirring. You sensed what needed to happen. You knew what I was highlighting, but you delayed. You delayed because it was uncomfortable. You delayed because it felt vulnerable. You delayed because it did not look dramatic enough to satisfy your mind. You delayed because you wanted more certainty, more emotion, more visible proof. And in the delay, the clarity often dimmed. Not because I stopped caring, but because you kept waiting for the next word while ignoring the one already given. My child, I say this gently, but I need you to receive it. Delayed obedience has cost you more peace than you realize. It has stretched out seasons that were ready to turn. It has kept you in loops that could have been broken sooner. It has prolonged internal tension because your spirit knew what was needed while your mind kept negotiating. I do not say that to condemn you. I say it because I want to break that pattern now. This is your chance to respond differently. This is your chance to become the kind of person who honors the nudge, who respects the conviction, who responds while the window is open, who understands that a whisper from me deserves more weight than 1,000 competing voices from fear. So here is what I want you to do after this. Sit with me for a few minutes and ask directly, Father, what do you want me to obey in the next few hours? Keep it simple. Do not flood the moment with a dozen questions. Ask one clear question. Then listen. Write down what rises. If more than one thing comes, notice which one carries the strongest peace or the clearest conviction. That is often where I am beginning. Then act on it. If it is a message, send it. If it is an apology, make it. If it is a boundary, set it. If it is a surrender, speak it. If it is a habit to stop, stop it. If it is a truth to write down, write it. If it is a person to release, release them. If it is an environment to step away from, do it. If it is a distraction to cut off, cut it off. If it is a rest I am commanding, take it seriously. If it is a call to pray, then stop and pray. Do not make obedience more complicated than it needs to be. And do not underestimate what can shift when you respond quickly. A small yes at the right moment can move mountains in the unseen. A single act of obedience can become the hinge on which an entire season turns. A simple response can unlock peace, clarity, momentum, healing, or release in ways you only understand later. That is why I am emphasizing the next few hours. Not because I want to make you anxious, but because I want to wake you up to the sacred weight of timing. You are not just living your day. You are walking through a moment that carries consequence. Treat it accordingly. Stay attentive. Stay responsive. Stay close. And if fear tries to tell you that the step is too small to matter or too simple to be spiritual, reject that lie immediately. Some of the most profound things I do begin with quiet obedience, not public drama. So receive this as both command and invitation. Honor the next few hours. Watch your heart. Watch what I highlight. Move when I say move. Stop when I say stop. Release when I say release. Speak when I say speak. Trust that I know what I am doing. You do not need to see how the whole thing connects before you obey the next thread I place in your hands. Your job is not to control the tapestry. Your job is to hold the thread I give you and let me weave. Do that now. Do it today. And you will begin to discover that what feels like a small act of obedience is often the very doorway through which a larger shift begins to enter your life. My child, I need you to listen to this point with unusual honesty, because this is where your heart has often turned a sacred moment into a painful one before the moment even had time to breathe. Stop rehearsing loss before I have finished speaking. I want you to let that sentence sit inside you. I want you to feel how familiar this pattern has been. You sense something good. You feel a shift. You notice peace, possibility, clarity, tenderness, or a new opening. And almost immediately, without even meaning to, your mind begins preparing for how it could disappear. You start imagining what could go wrong. You start thinking about how it might collapse. You begin to anticipate disappointment before the promise has even had time to unfold. You start telling yourself to stay emotionally cautious, not because I told you to, but because pain trained you to do it. I know why you do this. I know the history behind it. I know the places where you trusted and then grieved. I know the seasons where you let yourself hope and then found yourself staring at silence, or delay, or confusion, or endings you never wanted. I know how those moments taught your nervous system to brace. I know how they taught your mind to run ahead and prepare for impact. I know how you started believing that if you expected the loss early enough, it might hurt less when it came. But my child, that strategy has not protected your heart the way you think it has. It has often stolen the very peace I was trying to give you before anything bad even happened. It has made you mourn blessings before they were ever lost. It has caused you to stand in the middle of something I was opening while emotionally acting as if it was already over. That is not wisdom. That is pain rehearsing control. And I am calling you out of that pattern now because it cannot come with you where I am taking you. If every good thing that enters your life is immediately met by internal funeral music, you will never know how to inhabit peace. If every open door is greeted with a prediction of collapse, you will keep draining yourself before the journey even begins. If every moment of relief is treated like a temporary illusion, your soul will stay trained for sorrow even when I am trying to teach it rest. That is why I am interrupting you here. I do not want you to let old pain narrate the future before I have spoken the next sentence. You have done that too many times. You have let fear finish stories I had not finished writing. You have looked at a beginning and then emotionally skipped to an ending shaped by your past instead of by my presence. And because I love you, I need to say this plainly. You are not allowed to treat every blessing like a setup for heartbreak. You are not allowed to call that maturity anymore. You are not allowed to label constant bracing as discernment when it is really a wound trying to stay in charge. I want you to begin noticing how quickly this pattern rises in you. Watch what happens when something good gets close. Watch the thoughts that arrive. Watch the urge to downplay, dismiss, distance, or emotionally retreat before you can fully receive. Watch how quickly your mind starts building scenarios of absence. Then stop. Interrupt it. Refuse to keep rehearsing endings I have not written. Tell yourself the truth in that moment. My Father has not finished speaking. That sentence matters. It pulls you back into the present. It reminds you that the story is not over just because your mind wants to protect you by predicting loss. It calls your heart back from the future and back into trust. It breaks the false authority of fear by refusing to let it write the next chapter. And I want you to feel the freedom in this. You do not need to predict pain in order to be strong. You do not need to pre-suffer in order to be prepared. You do not need to grieve in advance in order to prove that you are realistic. Strength is not found in bracing for what has not happened. Strength is found in staying with me in the present, honoring what I am doing now, and refusing to let imaginary endings rob you of real peace. That is maturity. That is trust with muscle. That is the kind of inner life I am forming in you. So do not rush away from what is opening by mentally burying it before it has lived. Stay here. Stay open. Stay teachable. Let me speak the whole sentence before you decide how the story ends. And I want to take you deeper into this, because this pattern has shaped more of your emotional life than you may have realized. Rehearsing loss is not only a thought habit. It becomes an atmosphere. It changes the way you receive love, direction, peace, opportunity, healing, and even my own voice. It makes you cautious when I am asking you to be present. It makes you suspicious when I am asking you to receive. It makes you half open in moments that require your full heart. Some of you have done this with relationships. You felt something good, something kind, something safe, and instead of receiving it slowly and wisely, you immediately started preparing for how it might disappear. Some of you have done this with provision. The moment relief came, you started anticipating the next lack. Some of you have done this with peace. The moment your soul began to settle, you started scanning for the next disruption. Some of you have even done this with me. I touched you, comforted you, drew near, opened something, stirred something, and before the moment could deepen, part of you whispered, "This probably will not last." My child, I want to heal that in you. I want to teach you how to remain present without preemptively grieving. I want to teach your body, your mind, your emotions, and your spirit that goodness does not need to be treated like an intruder. That healing will require your participation. It will require you to challenge familiar thoughts instead of assuming they are truth. So when loss starts rehearsing itself in your mind, do not entertain it casually. Confront it. Ask, has God actually said this is ending? Or is my pain trying to predict? That question can save you. Most of the time, what is happening is not revelation. It is a wound looking for control. Once you see that, bring it to me quickly. Do not spiral alone. Say, Father, I feel myself bracing. I feel myself expecting loss. Help me stay in the present. Then let me reground you. Let me remind you what is true right now. Right now I am here. Right now I am speaking. Right now something is open. Right now you are being invited deeper. Right now the peace is real. Right now the moment is sacred. Right now the next step matters. Stay there. That is where your healing is. And I want to give you a direct practice for the next few days. When you notice yourself rehearsing a loss that has not happened, write the thought down. Do not leave it floating in the dark. Then write this beside it, what is true right now. Force your attention back into the present where I am actually speaking, not the imagined future where fear is performing. This will train your heart. It will expose how often you leave the room of grace to go visit imagined grief. And I need to say something tender but strong before we move on. Some of you have been emotionally exhausted not only because of what you have lived through, but because of what you keep pre-living in your mind. You have been carrying pain that has not even happened. You have been mourning endings that were never written. You have been exhausting your own soul by living in tomorrow's imagined heartbreak while I was trying to meet you in today's real mercy. Enough. Stop. Come back. Let today be today. Let me speak. Let me lead. Let me finish the sentence. If loss ever comes in any form, I will still be your father then. I will still be your refuge then. I will still be your strength then. You do not need to prepare your suffering in order to prove you can survive it. I carried you before. I will carry you again. But do not spend your present paying emotional rent to a future that does not belong to fear. Guard your peace. Guard your perception. Refuse to keep writing sorrow into places where I am still speaking life. This is not denial. This is trust. This is not fantasy. This is discipline. This is not naivete. This is a healed refusal to let old pain take authority over new moments. So hear me clearly and obey me here. Stop rehearsing loss before I have finished speaking. Stay in the room with me. Stay in the present. Stay available. Let me teach your heart how to receive without bracing, and you will begin to discover a freedom you have not known in a long time. My child, now that you have stopped rehearsing loss and returned your heart to trust, listen carefully to what I place before you. The peace you are learning to hold is the same peace I desire to send into thousands of other lives through this message. When you support this work through super thanks, through channel membership, or by giving through the PayPal link in the video description, you become like the one who pours oil into the lamp so the light never goes out. I declared long ago, those who sow in tears will reap with psalms of joy, and the seeds you release today will become rivers of encouragement for souls you may never meet. Some of you felt this message reach into a hidden place in your heart, and the reason is simple. I brought you here not only to receive, but also to help carry the fire forward. This moment is not coincidence. It is an appointment where generosity becomes a doorway for my word to travel further. I will breathe multiplication upon every seed offered with sincerity, and I will guard the provision of those who trust me with it. Therefore, do not delay this prompting. Support the mission now, and let your seed become light for someone still searching in the dark. My child, now I need to bring you to a point that can change whether this moment becomes a memory or a turning point. I am asking you to respond, not just feel something. This matters more than you realize. You have had moments before where my presence touched you, where truth reached you, where something in your spirit stirred, where tears came, where peace rose, where conviction landed, where you felt deeply moved. Those moments were real. I do not minimize them. I was in them. I was speaking in them. I was drawing you in them. But feeling something is not the same as responding. Emotion can open the door, but obedience is what walks through it. Tenderness can soften your heart, but action is what aligns your life. A strong spiritual feeling can mark a moment, but a chosen response is what gives the moment weight beyond itself. That is why I am speaking this so directly. I do not want you to leave this encounter saying, "That touched me," while remaining unchanged in the places I am clearly addressing. I do not want this to become another sacred feeling that gets added to your collection of powerful moments while the patterns I am confronting remain intact. I want more for you than that. I want movement. I want response. I want your yes to take shape. I want what is happening inside you to reach your decisions, your habits, your words, your pace, your boundaries, your attention, your obedience, and the way you carry yourself after this moment ends. That is the difference between inspiration and transformation. Inspiration makes you feel awakened. Transformation changes what you do next. And I need you to be honest with yourself here. There have been times when you preferred the feeling because the feeling was easier than the response. You liked the comfort, the closeness, the tenderness, the emotional release, the sense that I was near. But when it came time to actually obey the thing I highlighted, you hesitated. You delayed. You spiritualized your delay. You told yourself you were still processing. You said you needed more confirmation. You waited for the emotion to return stronger. You told yourself you would act when you felt more ready. But readiness is not always a feeling. Often it is a decision. Often it is the moment your heart says, "I know enough to obey the next step." That is what I am asking from you now. Do not settle for being moved. Be responsive. Do not just admire the truth. Commit to it. Do not just receive the comfort. Honor the instruction. Do not just enjoy the moment. Let it rearrange you. This is where many people stop, and that is why they keep repeating the same cycles. They keep seeking fresh encounters while resisting the concrete responses that would actually shift their lives. They keep asking for another word while ignoring the one already spoken. They keep wanting a stronger feeling while postponing the simple act of obedience that would carry the current word deeper. My child, I am not withholding your next step because I am trying to be mysterious. I am waiting to see what you will do with the step I already placed in your hands. That is why I am telling you plainly now. Do not reduce this to an emotional experience. Do not let it remain a powerful moment that fades into memory. Respond. Ask me what your response needs to be. Make it tangible. Make it real. If I have been telling you to let go of something, then let it go. If I have been telling you to stop something, then stop it. If I have been telling you to speak honestly, then pray honestly. If I have been telling you to guard this moment, then protect your attention. If I have been telling you to surrender, then lay the striving down. If I have been telling you to obey in the next few hours, then obey. Do not admire the map while refusing to move your feet. I am not trying to overwhelm you. I am trying to rescue you from the trap of repeated inspiration without embodied response. And because I love you, I need to say this with firmness. You already know more than enough to do something after this. So do something. And I want to take this deeper, because response is not always loud. Sometimes you think that if your response is not dramatic, it must not count. That is not true. Some of the holiest responses are quiet, immediate, and deeply personal. It may be deleting something you know has been draining your soul. It may be sending a message you have avoided because honesty felt too vulnerable. It may be turning your phone off for an hour and staying with me in silence. It may be writing down the lie you have been agreeing with and replacing it with truth. It may be canceling an environment you know pulls you out of alignment. It may be setting a boundary you have been afraid to set. It may be admitting to yourself that you are exhausted and obeying my invitation to rest. It may be forgiving someone you have kept emotionally tied to your pain. It may be choosing not to revisit the same door that keeps bruising your peace. It may be finally acknowledging that the old version of you is not allowed to lead this new season. These responses may look small from the outside, but they are not small in the spirit when they are sincere and timely. That is why I want you to stop waiting for the perfect emotional wave to carry you into obedience. The response itself often deepens the encounter. The action itself often unlocks the next layer. The moment you obey, what felt like inspiration begins becoming structure. It begins becoming a different way of living. That is where the real fruit comes. So I want to give you a very direct command and invitation now. Before this day ends, choose one concrete response to what I have been saying and do it. Not tomorrow. Not soon. Today. One clear response. Ask me, Father, what is the one thing I need to do because of this moment? Then do not negotiate with the answer. If you already know it, stop asking for more words and start moving. If the answer makes you uncomfortable, that does not mean it is wrong. Sometimes the discomfort is exactly what reveals where your freedom is waiting. If the answer feels simple, do not dismiss it. Simplicity is often how I protect you from turning obedience into performance. And I want you to hear this too. Your response does not have to prove anything to anyone else. It is not for display. It is not for applause. It is not for spiritual image. It is for alignment. It is for intimacy. It is for the deep places in you that have been longing not just to feel me, but to move with me. That is what I want. I want your inner yes to become visible in the shape of your next decision. I want the truth that touches you to begin changing the way you walk. So pause after this. Sit with me. Ask the question. Write the answer if needed. Then act. If fear argues, answer it with obedience. If hesitation rises, move anyway in the next simple step. If emotion fades, do not wait for it to return. Obey with the light you already have. This is how your life begins to shift from the inside out. This is how a sacred moment becomes a livid turning point instead of a beautiful memory. This is how what I am saying to you now moves from inspiration into formation. So receive this with seriousness and hope. I am not only asking you to feel something. I am asking you to respond. Let your response be clear. Let it be timely. Let it be real. Let it cost you your comfort if it needs to. Let it expose where you have been delaying. Let it mark the beginning of a new rhythm in your life where my voice is not merely admired, but followed. I am here. I am near. I am speaking. Now answer me with your life, not just your emotions.